So I had one last big question for you. Throughout our chat today, you've mentioned your management and your labels, at least one label that you've worked with. So I'm curious, how influential do you think the labels and management that you've worked with over the course of your career thus far have impacted your growth? Like, would you recommend other artists, especially growing and developing artists, to go that route or go the full solo route?
Okay. The way I look at labels, and someone said, actually, my manager said this very flatly to me, and I think it's true. Do you have the money to promote your music the way you want to? Yes. Fuck a label, go your own route. Especially if you go through like Facebook advertising and YouTube and all these ways, like there's ways you can grow yourself without the gates that were conventionally kept by record labels. Can you not afford it? Are you broke? I sure as shit was. So I went through labels, and I have I have found okay. So I first was signed with Blind. Well, yeah. So I was with Blind Mice Productions, and like I said, Pete Crane's label, and that was very valuable in helping get me into the hands of a lot of different industrial DJs who I wouldn't have reached otherwise, because Pete Crane already had clout in the industrial world. So he had a very small footprint on the market, respectfully. But enough that like people were still paying attention to what his label was doing, and they noticed my stuff. And my first two EPs did strike a chord with some people, and enough that a slightly larger industrial label, goth industrial label called Negative Gain, became interested in my work, and they were someone that I was always a fan of. They have historically been very good at curating their lineup. So I was honestly pretty starstruck that they reached out and wanted me to be a part of it, and it was very awesome. It was cool to feel like part of the family, and they actually really did help almost like legitimize me as like an industrial artist, because like I was now part of this roster, and there are a lot of DJs who are just like will play whatever Negative Gain puts out. So it did almost like legitimize me as an industrial artist. And over time, I think I started growing more as an electronic artist as opposed to industrial artist. If I'm being honest, like these days, I struggle to call myself an industrial artist. I'm not really doing most things that like industrial does, but my music comes from a deep love of industrial, even if it's not. I guess EDM is technically the most accurate thing for what I do, even though I haven't exactly pierced much of the EDM market. But I make general dark electronic music, and I just started sounding so much more and more different than everybody else on the label. Like there's another artist on the label called ESA who does very dark, hard power noise mixed with like modern electronics. Very good. Fucking love ESA. You should check him out, especially his music videos. He takes music videos to a different level. He's amazing and amazing live. But really, no one's was sounding like me anymore, and I kind of moved on. And at that point, I was working with this my manager at the time, and he was kind of starting his own label. And the reason that I'm with this, it's not like a label with a huge amount of cred in the scene or whatever, and it's only me and Danny Blue who are on this label. But my manager Victor, who runs the label, he just deeply understands my music project, like what my goals are, like where I want to be and how to get me there, and believes very much in my project and like what I'm doing. And I've only released a few singles with him. I'll be releasing my album with him, but like shit, man, the first two singles from this thing have outperformed just about anything I have released by myself or with any other label. Like he's been just he knows how to do the back end stuff that I just don't know how to do. And I've been really appreciative of that. And the other thing is I also occasionally release with a different label, which is Hybrid Black. And the reason I do that is because Hybrid Black is a group of people that like I met them and they were just so on board with the entire thing that I have always been trying to do with Moris Blak, this melding of genres, specifically like, the very dark music, like industrial and metal and all those things, and like kind of blending it with more like modern approaches, and taking like the modern electronic techniques and sounds and like just kind of pushing it all together into like his new exciting sound. And like honestly, like when I first like met them, I almost felt like I was like less crazy. Like there are like other people who like are truly want to do this thing as well. And so I just love what they're doing. I believe in them as a label and as a collective. It's run by Mechanical Vein and Biomechanimal, and they do a great job. And they're good friends, and that's the reason I will occasionally still release things with them, because I just love what they do. If you love what a label does and you want to be a part of it, like look at the contract, have someone look at the contract, and sign on for one release at a time.
Definitely. And what about like have you been with this with your manager for a while now, right?
Yeah, I think like halfway through COVID is when he's like he kind of gave me his business proposition, and I was like, yeah, let's see how this goes. And I would say, but my girlfriend's very grateful for him. She feels like he helps like manage a lot of like the stress that's like so ephemeral to her, because it's music is its own fucking dimension away from everything else. And it's been nothing but smooth sailing. He's been just really great at helping get my project where it is, keep me on task, keep me focused. And I think
Hmm.
I've had some of my most productive years yet in this project.
Does you have you found that it's helped you a lot with maybe clearing your headspace of some of like the smaller things and like day-to-day runnings of pages and projects and advertising and merchandise that otherwise would crowd into your music time?
Yeah, he things like he's like currently organizing my next tour, and like scheduling a tour is like a fucking hassle. So having him like help like make those calls and stuff, and he, even like just having his email instead of mine kind of gets like some of the riffraff, like people who are like giving me not serious offers and stuff like that. Because I mean, I'm still like pretty inexperienced with this. I'm pretty good at like detecting bullshit, but like I don't know, sometimes things seem more enticing than they are, and people come in with big fucking things. Like there's this person who like contacted me and a bunch of other bass music artists, like in you and I, like our collective sound, whatever you want to call that.
Hmm.
Contacted a bunch of those artists and was like talking about how she's like she works with Post Malone, and it was going to be launching this huge project, and it was going to be launching this like it's super secret now, but it's going to be huge. And like went on a call with these people with like my manager, and we like quickly kind of were like, this seems like a whole bunch of bullshit. And like I've been like watching this person, like their like socials and stuff, and like they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna release a single in April, we're gonna release an album in June, and like none of it ever happened. These people still do not have a single song out yet. So I'm wondering if every other musician was kind of like, yeah, this is bullshit, we're not involved with this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to have that buffer there in between.
Hmm.
What? Unless you have something else that's weighing on your mind or you want to chat about, what is next for you? What can your people, what can the fine citizens of the internet look for from you going into 2023?
Yeah, so I'm excited about my next release, Burial and Void. I'm gonna be trying out some new things. I released my first two singles from it, which is House of the Fallen Suns and Malevolent, which I'm very proud of both of those singles. Like Malevolent, I think was a kind of an indicator of me trying out kind of different styles, different from what I had been doing, but still very, very much me. I got some really great vocal collaborators on the album. I think people are going to really, really fucking like it. I have been thrown, and this is partially your fault because of your fantastic music and your like Moritan associations and stuff like that. I have just been in a huge rave and like warehouse techno house kind of mood lately, and I've been just writing a whole lot of material kind of in that kind of category. And Danny Blue is like really wanting to kind of push kind of more into like the LGBTQ house space. And so I've been like getting really excited about writing that kind of stuff. So I feel like I'm feeling like a huge surge of like very dancey music that's going to be coming out for me. before I decide that dance music isn't art and I have to make something else or something. Who knows? I feel like Morris Blak always is going to have like a certain point where I decide I want to do something radically different, but I don't know when that time. It's not anytime soon because I really love this kind of music that I make, and I love that people love it as much as I do. And it's yeah. So that's the next big thing you can look forward to is Burial and Void. I think I have a couple remixes coming out. I do so many remixes, and I kind of forget to ask when the release dates are. So keep an eye out for remixes. I think the next one is from the artist Matt Black. I think I'm excited for that one. That one's a good one. So yeah.
All right, sick. Very nice. Thank you for your time today, man.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I love what you do. You're an inspiration to me all the time, and I appreciate that.
Right back at you, man. It's been a pleasure watching you grow over these past few years.
Yeah, right back at you, dude. I was oh man, someone at I think yeah, someone that was at my what I think it was my Salem show, and they came up and were talking to me about how much they got into Mobius because like they heard him on my playlist and how obsessed they were with you, and I was like, ah, that's so good. It feels so good. I love when I see my homies get the appreciation they deserve.
Fuck yeah, that's awesome. I would like to meet these people one day. I haven't met anybody in Japan yet who is into this yet. Whenever I play
Oh.
shows, people are like, "What is this? This sounds like music from the future." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, kind of like it's in the future of the cultural curve. I think it'll swing back around in like maybe 4 or 5 years, and Japan will be like,
Is
"This
is
is
it
what's
like
up."
is it like not is there like not really that much music in there? Like for our type of thing?
There's not a lot of industrial or this sort of thing. They have like a lot of their own metal subgenres and things like that, and they have a
Yeah,
lot
I knew
of
about
dance
those.
music. Like techno is really huge. This like Japanese techno and psychedelic techno kind of styles seem to have quite a following. Um,
Ooh, can you send me some of that stuff? I'm curious about it.
yeah, definitely, I can do that.
Yeah, I've always
Um,
been curious about it. That's like one of those lingering questions I've been like meaning to ask you, like what electronic culture, like dance culture is in Japan, because I can get like a tertiary view from, you know, my very white seatings in Boston out here, but I've always been curious, like what's popular there, what's not, because to my understanding, like South Korea is like a much more like homogenous pop culture, but Japan is a little bit all over the map.
yeah, I mean the cool thing is everything is so dense that there's like it seems like there's a little pocket for every kind of scene. People host their own nights in like little 20-person capacity bars and like host their own DJ nights for like very specific things. So like
That's cool.
people can build their own little scenes, and were I not completely illiterate, that's probably something that I would focus on doing more of here. Um, but yeah, I mean, broad strokes, the festivals that I've seen people going to over COVID time, so this is just Japanese music, basically, no international acts coming through. Um, yeah, it's been a lot of people like psytrance and they like techno, but not,
And I do enjoy those genres as well.
mhm. Yeah, I think it's fun. But I don't know, going back to America and getting to see some like more, I don't know, in your face EDM-y sort of things, and some like drum and bass and stuff was a blast and a half. That's not true. They
Yeah.
also do have some drum and bass nights
I
here
was
as
about to
well.
say, I feel like drum and bass feels like something I've definitely heard Japanese drum and bass. I know I have.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But I just want some of that like super fucking hard, like neuro funk, Noisia, Reaper,
Yeah. Well, if
moshing
you're
drum
if
and
you're
bass.
ever in the US at any point and you're around the Boston area, I'd love to actually like see you perform.
Fuck yeah. I would absolutely love to do that. I'll need to
But
see I'll need to see. I'd like to come back to America again maybe next year. So
mhm.
yeah, I'll chat to you then and we can.
I think one of the best feelings I had at the end of the Blood Rave was, I was a lot of the driving force of getting people out, but it felt awesome that I was able to also introduce them to these two other artists that are doing similar sounds that I deeply respect, and everyone left there big fans of both. And so I don't know, being able to expose more people to music that I love, and I know that they would love if they had just discovered it.
Yeah, well, there it is. I mean, that's the beauty of curating your own shows and building a local scene, right? Because then
Yeah,
you have some sway in the community, and you can like I guess be like a taste maker for lack of a better term. Be like, hey, you guys like this, you'd probably also like this. And I'm like, oh shit, yeah, this is sick. More,
yeah. I've
please.
been I've been like pretty like dismal about the fact that Boston has been taking a difficult time like opening back up post COVID, but things are like pretty much back to normal at this point for the most part. And I think the success of that one night has kind of invigorated my desire to, instead of just, I feel like part of me is always planning on like moving west at some point, but like maybe cultivating a deeper electronic scene here because it seems like people are definitely open to it. It's just like we were saying, they just don't know it exists.
Yeah. What did Noel Gallagher say? Like, people don't know what you want until you give it to them. So I
It's
mean, if
true.
you're seeing the interest there, then might as well try to see how deep their interest goes, how much
Yeah.
they're down for.
I'm just I'm trying to grow this thing for all of us, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that makes it sound like I have way more sway than I actually do, but I have always felt like, and hybrid black guys and I always talk about this, like, all ships rise with the tide, you know?
Exactly. And something kind of as small and tight knit. I mean, like a lot of the same people run in the same online circles and things like this, release with similar labels and like know each other. So I think
Yeah.
so.
It seems
The
like we're all decently cool dudes. I've met very few people I'd say, oh, that guy's a fucking asshole.
Yeah, I have also been lucky enough to avoid any obvious assholes so far. So let's hope it stays that way.
Yeah, I like this whole accountability culture thing we're living in.
Definitely. All right, man. Thanks again for your time.
Yeah, dude, this was a lot of fun. It's always great talking to you.
Yeah, this is a blast. Let's see how the podcast goes over the next year, and maybe we can have you on as a recurring guest. Get some
I
updates.
always love giving my takes.
Fuck yeah.